Welcome to the Village Green NBTV show on the environment. I'm Nancy Gardner, the host. Today we're going to visit Buck Gully. We haven't been there in a while, and see some of the new things that they're doing there. We're also going to talk about Sherman Gardens, where we are right now, and what they have plans for in the coming year. I'm here with Nathan Gregory of the Irvine Ranch Conservancy, and you guys manage all of Buck Gully for the city.
We do.
And I'm looking at a sign here that says trail work ahead. So what sort of trail work's going on?
Well, unfortunately, we had an incident in March where a resident cut an unauthorized trail through the coastal sage scrub habitat to intersect the trail here. So we are in the process of closing it off and restoring it.
Okay, now I can see that people who may not be really familiar with the area are saying, well, you know, what's one trail and just a bunch of weeds, basically. There's a little more to it, though.
There is. And actually, the area that was cut, there are not a lot of weeds because it's nearly pristine habitat. This area hasn't burned since, I think, 1914,
wow.
Which is unusual for most of the county. And it's also a protected area. It's protected under what's called the Natural Communities Conservation Plan. So it's a federally protected and state protected reserve. And the habitat is critical for the federally threatened California gnatcatcher.
Okay, so it wasn't just a bunch of weeds; it was something. So
No,
so we're going to work on that. But I know we haven't been down here in a while. So let's review a couple of things. One thing is, and I know this is just one of probably your hardest tasks, is the dog owners. I'm a dog owner. I have a bird dog, so he would love to come down here and point some quail for everybody. But and I think again, if you're not really aware of things, it seems like, well, a nice area for the dogs to run. So let's go over again. What are some of the issues when you do have dogs where they shouldn't be?
And I'm sympathetic because I'm a dog owner myself. And so when I first moved here, it was sometimes a challenge to find a good place to walk your dog, especially when we get out in the open. But because this is a protected area with critical habitat, if you have a lot of dogs walking through, it sends a signal to the other wildlife that there's presence. So when dogs are marking the trails or leaving their scent behind, that can be disruptive to animals like bobcats and coyotes and other residents. They also can disturb bird territories as well. It's also not very safe sometimes for dogs. There are snakes and other types of wildlife out, poison oak, other things that would be of concern. So if dogs were to get off trail and get into the habitat, they could get injured as well.
Okay, and they're not even allowed on leash in Buck Gully.
That's right. In fact, where we're standing is the end of where the dogs are allowed. So past this point, they're not allowed.
Okay, so then I think there's been a big change. I didn't realize. I see a sign up here that says one-way bike trail uphill only. So when did that come about, the change?
So that came about just in October. And so that was a response to community concerns over safety.
Mm-hmm.
Bicyclists coming downhill will be toward us, can travel at very fast speeds, and that can pose a safety hazard to hikers and other users.
Yeah, I've often wondered about that because they do get up at a good head of speed at times. So pedestrians can still go both ways.
Yes, that's true.
All right. And how's it working?
So far, I think pretty well. I think most of the community has been supportive. I know that there were some enforcement actions early on, but people are getting used to the new change, and I think it's going to lead to a better experience for everyone.
So if you're coming in from up above, is there a sign that says to bikes, hey, this is not the way to come? Or
Yes, yeah. So there's signage all through, and the bikers are expected to go south from here and then exit at San Joaquin.
Okay. So they still get a nice downhill ride if they want. It's even faster because it's on pavement.
Well, and really, Buck Gully, while this is uphill, it's varied terrain, so I think it will provide a nice experience even if just going one way.
All right. Well, let's go and look a little bit closer at some of the area. We're up here a little bit more on the trail, and I'm looking at these signposts that have little suggestions of behavior. So be listening. What are we listening for?
Listening for the sounds of the wildlife around us. Yeah.
What sort of things might we hear?
Oh, hopefully in the spring especially, you'll hear birds on territory that are nesting. Because we have water here year-round, this is a great place to listen for amphibians like frogs and things like that. So when it's, especially on a nice morning like this, when it starts to warm up a little bit, I bet the birds will come out and it'll be a nice chorus to hear.
That's good. Looks like there's plenty of stuff for them to eat. What sort of things does the gnatcatcher eat?
Gnatcatchers, mostly insects, and like I said, this is great habitat for them.
Come on through, it's fine.
It's also nice habitat for another threatened species called Least-Bell's vireo. If you look around these tall trees and all the structure that habitat provides is great for them to nest. So another bird that we're concerned about.
All right, so let's talk about, I know you have programs.
Yes.
So talk about some of your programs.
So volunteer-led activities include hikes, bike rides. We have a cell phone-based audio tour that the public can access anytime that they're coming to walk through. So that could be another way to listen as they go along and provide some additional context to what they're seeing.
When you say, so what sort of information would it be and how do you access it?
So we can just dial up a number with their cell phone, and then as you walk along, there'll be signposts that'll have a code to access to get different bits of information. So information about the wildlife, information about the habitat, information about the history.
And the phone number, is it on the sign down there?
Yes, it's on the sign as you enter the trail. Yeah.
Oh, well, that would be fun. So you can do that just on your own.
Yes.
And then you have, I think sometimes you take guided tours, or?
There are volunteer guided hikes. Definitely. There's also opportunities to do restoration work and weed control here too. So we really rely on our volunteers and members of the public to help us keep this place nice.
And I think that one thing, particularly in view that we are in fire season and we've already had fires, to remind people that you guys do a fire watch.
We do, yeah. It's one of the most important things we can do, especially during the season when the winds are a concern, is reducing the number of ignitions is the critical thing. And so we have volunteers dispersed all throughout the county who, on red flag days, are there looking for any sort of suspicious activity, making sure that the public is informed of what's going on, and encouraging fire-safe behavior.
So, as talking about fires, obviously at this time of year we start to get some dry foliage around.
Yes.
But that's part of the natural scheme of things. Do you work with anybody who does some controls in terms of removing dead stuff and that sort of thing? Is that something your volunteers do?
No, within the reserve, that's really kind of out of our purview. So the various fire authorities are the points on making sure that the fuel breaks are maintained and things like that. If we're removing vegetation, it's removing invasive species or any sort of safety hazards, things like that. But here within the reserve, really the critical areas to maintain are these breaks that are up by the homes. And providing this defensible space around the homes.
Well, it's changed too. I mean, if there was a fire in 1914, there wasn't much to burn. I wasn't here, but it was a very meagerly. It was mostly cactus and that sort of thing.
So that's someone.
You just broke the rules, sir.
Sorry, that's kind of ironic.
Well, that just shows you. Just shows you how difficult it is to get everybody on the same page at times, and why some people feel they don't have to be on anybody else's page except their own. Ha, hum, bah. Anyway, this habitat has changed so dramatically because I grew up here, and it was mostly cactus. I mean,
Sure.
we had no water coming through until Newport coast was developed. So, has that made it brought in new animals and birds and amphibians and that sort of thing, or has it just been an expansion of the population?
It's probably been more of an expansion than bringing in something new, although the habitat, I'm sure, has changed in a major way. So it probably wouldn't be the same value to like the Least-Bell's vireo as it is now, or to the amphibians too, because having year-round water is important in terms of supporting the wildlife that's here.
Well, that was what we found. We had a plan some years ago to try to take the water off the beach at Little Corona, and we were going to start right here, approximately, or even farther up maybe, and divert the water. And Fish and Wildlife said, nope, you've created this habitat, and you can't, we now have wetlands, and you've got to stay there. So now here comes somebody who's doing it the right way.
It's the same
All right.
person.
Is it? Hump. At least he's doing it right this time. All right, anything else? If people want to get more involved, where do they get the information?
Let'sGoOutside.org is the great place to start. It has a list of all the different activities that occur on the open space, and you can look for opportunities to explore Buck Gully. Otherwise, even just coming down and checking out the audio tour and having a self-guided hike is a good way to spark interest as well.
It's open from when to when? What hours?
Dawn to dusk.
Dawn to dusk. That makes it easy. Anything that you'd like to say that maybe we haven't touched on in terms of Buck Gully?
I don't think so. I mean, it really is a very spectacular little piece of habitat here. Like in terms of bird diversity and the pristine nature of the coastal sage scrub, it's a jewel in the reserve system.
Well, it is. It's always interesting to find something like this where you've got houses just literally feet away, it seems like, and yet you've got a lot of habitat.
Yeah. Well, and it's very unique to Southern California, what we call the urban wildland interface, and so where you have this interplay between what's happening up in the neighborhoods versus what's happening out here and what's really wild habitat. There aren't many places in the world that you see it happening like it does here.
Yeah. Well, and I know that interface is critical because you try to educate the people, the homeowners there, not to plant a lot of things that will invade and disrupt the habitat. Well, thank you for this visit to Buck Gully.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Scott LaFleur, who just does everything for the Sherman Gardens. It's this wonderful place we have in Corona Del Mar. And I know that there are a bunch of new things you're always doing, trying to improve.
Absolutely.
So talk about some of the things that are coming up.
Well, the biggest thing coming up right now is our Nights of a Thousand Lights holiday festival. This is our 6th year, and this fits in perfectly with the pillar of our institution, arts. Everything here is created and designed in-house by our staff. It's not something you're going to find at the mall. It is totally homemade and kind of a really unique feel. Every year we change it up.
Well, that sounds like fun. I mean, isn't that part of the holidays, just all the new lights and everything? So
Exactly.
I'm looking at some almost look like snowflakes or something.
Correct. Well, we're standing out here. As you can see all the blue and sort of lavender, purpley flowers because this is going to be the Blue Christmas this year. So every year, as I said, we do different themes. So this entire central garden is going to have a giant 20-foot blue Christmas tree, blue lights everywhere, and a very special guest, Elvis, will be here.
All right. And I see you've got some lanterns over there.
We do. The lanterns, that's kind of a little bit of a walkway area, but the entire night, each section of the garden is different. We have our Disco Inferno, so our fern alley has got disco balls that go off like crazy. Up in our tea garden, we're celebrating a Scandinavian Christmas this year, so you'll have some Scandinavian foods and make a little heart ornament that they do in Scandinavia. And Chef Pascal and Chef Jessica Roy, his new assistant, will be creating all the food for us this year, so we're really excited about that. We have Santa. We have got the real Santa in his adobe. It's his summer home, and he hangs out here around this time of year before he has to head back north to get the presents out to all the kids. So he'll be here for all of our events as well.
And when does it start?
It just starts on December 6th, and it runs December that weekend, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then the 12th to the 15th and 19th through the 22nd.
Okay, well, that sounds like a really fun evening. Good food, beautiful setting.
Absolutely.
So that's something to look forward to. What everything looks very nice here. Anything
Thanks.
new in terms of what you're doing in terms of your gardens?
We did just change our rose garden over to a very formal knot garden, kind of a French-style parterre that's really interesting. The roses are great, and we have them sprinkled throughout the garden, but they don't look great every single day of the year, and so the knot garden will do that. The knot garden will also get turned into our gingerbread garden for our Christmas event. We had up in the sun garden, we had a great edible garden all summer long that Chef Jessica was always picking stuff out of. We just changed it over to our moon garden. So it's all white flowers and silver flowers, and it really reflects really well on the moon. So
I think we're going to have to go look at some of this.
Yeah,
It sounds really
absolutely.
exciting.
Let's take a walk
All right,
at
we
some
will in just a moment.
Okay.
And then just one thing, I know you're not ready for the big reveal,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that you've been talking about opening this up in a slightly different way in terms of how it faces the city and everything.
Well, we just completed in 2019. We completed a 5-year strategic plan, and one of the goals of our strategic plan is to be more open to the public, to serve the public and the community more, and really kind of get beyond the walls of the garden. We want to get out into schools. We want to do school gardening programs with local schools throughout Orange County, and we want to bring the public in. And one of the ways to do that is how many people have driven by our place on Pacific Coast Highway, and when I go and talk to them, where are you located? I've never seen it. And they drive by. So we need to refresh that front entrance of the garden and really make ourselves stand out in the village of Corona Del Mar.
Well, I look forward to seeing that because I think it's wonderful. I know you also depend a lot on volunteers.
We do. We have over 100 volunteers, and we have over 50 docents who are education kind of folks. They give tours, they do children's tours and everything as well. So we're very dependent on them. We couldn't do it without them.
And you have members that support us with their dues.
Exactly.
If you want to become a member or a volunteer, how do you get the information?
All of that is on slgardens.org, so you can go right online and find all that information out.
Okay, SL?
SL, as in Sherman Library Gardens.org.
Okay, good. All right, well, let's go look at some of these neat places. This is the Moon Garden.
This is the Moon
and
Garden.
I'm immediately caught by, what is this?
This is actually, I don't know.
We have an expert here?
We have an expert, Carol Younger, our senior horticulturalist.
How are you?
I'm fine. Carol, what is that white leaf plant?
That is called Senecio candicans, also known as angel wings.
Ah, okay. That I can remember. Angel wings I can remember. That is really stunning.
Yes, it absolutely is. As all the flowers in here are hints of white and silver and will reflect really well in the moonlight, and also with our very white themed moon garden that we have going on in here for our Nights of a Thousand Lights festival.
And do you have anything that just blooms at night?
Do we have anything that blooms at night, Carol?
We have some plants that are fragrant at night.
Fragrant at night.
Okay,
yes.
we have fragrant at night.
We do.
I've had grown moonflowers before.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those will bloom at night. And 5 o'clock will also
Yeah.
bloom it as the sun goes down as well. So
Okay, well, this is very pretty. I really a lot of nice foliage there that are nice and light. All right, and then you can show us the knot garden?
the knot garden is right behind us.
So this is the knot garden. There's something about some history here, I think, in terms of a knot garden. Where did they originate? Do you know?
They originated in France, and so very, very formal gardens that you would see on the big French estates as you outlook over from those tall balconies gave a really cool kind of perspective geometry and a great way to get people to walk out into the gardens themselves. What we decided to do is kind of bring it down to a little bit of a smaller scale, where you're still weaving in and out. We have some barberries in there. We have some wonderful cyclamens that are there for pops of color, boxwoods that are growing as well as the hedges, and so all together it gets a really formal yet kind of a fun feeling as well. So the structure of the shrubs and the hedges give you that formal, and then you can fill it with really fun color and flowers and pops of energy.
So you can change that seasonally.
Exactly.
Well, so that's something new. This is where the roses used to be.
This is where the roses used to be. And as you can see in the background here, what we are building is our gingerbread house. This will be gingerbread land for our Nights of a Thousand light event. So the elves are busy at work all over the garden.
It does look very busy. Did you make a change to one of your...
Yeah, we added a really, really cool orchid wall to our conservatory. There used to be wooden benches that were rotting and they were kind of falling apart, and they also really transmitted a lot of disease as well. And so through
Plant disease.
Plant disease, exactly. Yes, correct.
You want people to still come.
We still want people to come. It was the plant diseases, but the Stanley Smith Horticulture Trust and the Karen Jewel Jacoby Foundation both helped us build that wall, so it's really exciting.
Does it have orchids in it now?
It does. Want to go see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here we have the orchid wall. I've always liked orchids. They last so long.
They do last a long time, and it's actually one of our biggest collections. We have over 1,500 different species of orchids here at the gardens, and where we're standing is the orchid wall, so only the best and the brightest get taken out here, and then they get moved back to the greenhouse to get revived and bloom again.
Do you have orchid sales ever?
We do not have orchid sales, but we are planning on having an orchid show in 2021.
Oh, that's
So,
always fun. Orchid shows
that's
are...
a big one that we're planning. Little sneak preview for you.
Okay. But you do have plant sales from time to time. I know I was so disappointed. I thought I had the right weekend for the begonia sale, and I missed it because I had the wrong weekend.
Well, we do partner with a lot of plant societies, the Begonia Society, Chrysanthemum Society, the Bonsai Society, and we also have our own Fuchsia Festival. And whenever any of those societies are here, they always sell plants. And so it's a really nice thing that we do. We want to support those horticultural organizations. It's important to keep their knowledge and their excitement and all the people that work really hard for them around. So we always donate the space to them, let them have a show, and it gives our visitors something really cool to see as well.
Well, so if you haven't been to Sherman Gardens, you really, it's like coming to an arboretum small,
Small.
but a lot of variety. We're here with a lot of ferns and, of course, these beautiful orchids.
Exactly.
And then I know you've got some succulent areas. And
Our succulent garden is probably one of the most eye-catching that we have. Our succulent curator Matt Maggio mixes stones and glass. And
I think we better go there. All
Absolutely.
right, let's go. All right, so this is the succulent
This
garden.
is the succulent garden.
And it is amazing.
This is my favorite spot in the garden. It is truly a living piece of artwork here. And it's called the Succulent Garden, not the Cactus Garden, because all cactuses are succulents, but not all succulents are cactuses. And so we call it the Succulent Garden. It actually has 3 unique areas to it. What is behind us here directly is drier cactuses and mountain sort of plants that you would find. And we have a dry riverbed going through here. On our opposite side, we have kind of a little inspirational take on an underwater scene with some fire sticks and shells and things like that. And it's one of those little spots in the garden where the more you look and stare, you will find something really unique everywhere. And then the opposite side from us, we have our Senecio River and waves of glass and blue and succulents and reds. And it is just truly a striking garden. I just love it in here.
Well, somebody's had a lot of fun
Yeah.
designing this. I noticed that this area is really spiky.
It is very spiky. So definitely want to take caution here.
Yeah.
But the blue cactus mountain that we have and the barrel cactuses when they bloom are just amazing. Euphorbia, just gigantic
Yeah.
euphorbias that have been here for probably about 20 years or more, and so they're
Only 20 years?
only 20 years. Those
Wow.
grow pretty darn fast.
Wow.
So yeah.
And this is a really striking.
That is an agave. Yes. It's a striped agave, so it's really unique.
I've never seen one of those. And then we've got,
An aloe.
is that what that is with
Yeah, absolutely. It's a giant aloe.
Wow, it is giant.
Yeah, it's a tree aloe. Now that one has been there even since Matt Maggio, who was our very first ever Arnold D. Haskell Scholarship winner, and he came and charmed everyone so much that they had him redesign this entire garden. And so he is still here. He comes back and takes care of it all the time. But that is probably getting to be close to 40 plus years old on that aloe tree.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're someplace else entirely.
It does.
Oh, what kind of bird is that? Is it a mockingbird?
I'm not seeing it. Oh yeah. That I don't know. But you can pick up at the gates when you come in. We have a whole list of Sherman Gardens birds. And so we had one of our high school interns that came and did a whole survey of birds that were here. So you can pick up that list when you come.
What fun. And so then we'll look over here. We'll step over. We're doing a little
Doing some
gardening.
maintenance,
We're doing
exactly,
actual
exactly.
gardening. So we have, let's look at this. So this is just designed with glass and the succulents. This is
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, this is just Matt's creative artistic put to find the right succulents and the right glass that matches along with it. So even here,
Right.
you've got
I love the
leaves,
red.
but you've got the red glasses in there as well. So it's just his ability to do that is just amazing.
It is. Well, this is an amazing, as I say, you can come here and in a very short period, if you're in a hurry, you can see all these different kinds of plants, these different little echo corners, and it is a real treasure, and it's too bad that not everybody always knows about it, but you're going to change that.
We are trying to change that. We're doing more events and more things for people to learn about us and get our name out there, and that's really what we're here for. We want the public to come and enjoy and learn, especially learn. We are really a cultural center and a learning spot for history, horticulture, and the arts.
But they can also come and eat.
They can come and eat. As I said, we have Chef Pascal and Chef Jessica here, so Cafe Jardin is open for lunch 11 to 2 every day of the week. We do brunch on Sunday dinners, and we have the Tea Garden Creperie on Saturday and Sunday for a little more casual atmosphere. So.
All right. So, and there's plenty of parking. That's something we also don't often have.
Del Mar, that is quite a bonus. That's quite a bonus. And I will also give one little plug too, because we're trying to get the word out there. We have an amazing high school internship program.
Oh.
And so we are always looking. Check our website, slgardens.org. And in the springtime, you can apply to be a high school intern. We'll match you up with our college interns from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and you'll do a 6-week paid internship here at the garden. And the idea is to show high school students that horticulture and the green industry is a really great career experience and somewhere you should actually think about when you're getting ready for college.
Well, I think I wish I had known about that when my grandsons were in high school, because they're in college now. But one of them, he and I created a couple of box gardens for his mother, and he has become, he totally owns it. And I don't think
Fantastic.
we planted the seeds and we
yeah.
watched them grow. And
I
so
love it. I
it's
love
a
it. That's great.
experience.
Yeah, really good. Getting the kids out there and having them learn how plants grow is
Yeah.
really amazing. That's one of the things about us. We really value ecological horticulture. We want to build gardens that are in tune with nature and help nature out for the pollinators, for the insects, all the life that can come to them. But we're not a nature center. We want people to know how to grow horticulture and how to make it aesthetically pleasing and ecological at the same time.
Well, you can learn that, and you also can get some great ideas for plant groupings when you come because they have some real artists doing the work. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate you coming.
All right, that was our show. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, let's all work on keeping our village green.